Okay, today's topic is order of adjectives. First of all, let's talk about adjective order. There's a certain order you use when using more than one adjective in front of a noun. Remember, an adjective describes, it tells which one, how many, what kind, and it's used in front of a noun, or they are used in front of a noun. And let's remember, a noun is a person, place, thing, or idea. When using adjectives, you want to stick to 3 or less in order for your reader to have the most sense. But sometimes you have to use more than 3, and there's a certain order you need to use them. And you might even have to use commas, which we'll talk about later. All right, so number or article adjectives. First, you use number or article adjectives. So examples would be the, a, 2, or 20. All right, second, use sensory adjectives. These are adjectives that relate to the senses. So examples would be pretty, loud, or yummy. So the sensory adjectives have to do with anything with your senses, how they feel, how they taste, how they sound, that sort of thing, or how they look. Then we use physical adjectives in this order: size, shape, age, and color. And you have to use them in that order, otherwise it doesn't quite make sense. So large, round, old, and blue. Let's talk about how we would use these together. We would not have to use commas because they are considered on their own without another one that's size, shape, age, or color. They don't have to have it. Okay, it's basically what I'm saying. They don't have to have a comma. So if I was talking about a door, and I'm talking about a rounded door that's old and blue, I might say the large, round, old, blue door. Which, again, that's more than 4, so it's a little silly to use that many. But if I have to be as specific as possible, then I might have to use more than that. All right, now we use proper adjectives next. Proper adjectives are adjectives that name or reference a place. So American, Irish, German, Ethiopian would go here. So it also could be a state or a city. So I could say the Roman people, or I could say the Kansan senator. All right, material adjectives. Fifth, we use material adjectives. Material adjectives are adjectives that describe what an adjective is made of. So what it's basically the material it's made of. So glass, gold, or wooden would be examples. And then we use closely related adjectives. Use adjectives that are closely related to the noun, as close as possible to the noun. So, for example, if it has something to do with how it's used, then that would be closely related. So example would be hand and hand mirror, or wall and wall clock. We use a hand mirror in our hand, and we use a wall clock on the wall. So if it has to do with this, sorry, Lucy's making noises in the background. If it has to do with its use, then it's probably right next to it. All right, commas. Use commas to separate only adjectives from the same category. For example, the cute fluffy puppy. Cute and fluffy come from the same category, so there's a comma between them. Okay? And then a beautiful polished gem, again, they're from the same category. If I said the large polished gem, I would not have to use a comma because they're not necessarily from the same category. All right, let's put these words in order. Black, large, spider, the. First of all, you want to find what your noun is. What's our noun in these 4 words? Our noun is spider. Our noun always goes last, so put spider last. Then we need to think about, what comes first? Well, we have an article adjective, so that's going to come first. So okay, let's see. Now we have a size word, and size comes before color. So large comes next after the article adjective. And then we have our color. So the large black spider. Does that make sense? Yes. If I said black large spider, that would not make sense. So you always have to think, does my adjective order make sense? Even in your own writing. The whole point of these grammar rules is for writing and speaking. Do they make sense? If they don't make sense, then something probably went wrong. All right, now it's your turn. Put these in order in your notes and bring to class. So you have two groups of words that I want you to do. First, find your noun, and remember the noun goes last. All right, good luck.